I made a gentleman's bet at the start of this show that it would never see air. I felt we would complete them all, but I felt strongly that at some point in time someone wouldn't allow it. And so far, it's full steam ahead. Now, we do have to wait till December 2nd because that's the airing again of the first show, which is, that's a couple weeks away yet, 3 weeks away.
In fact, I remember in October, you were in my car, we were driving around in the hill country, and you said, Alex, we're going to find out if this airs because I'm going to do this from my perspective and be fair. We're going to see what happens. And you've put incredible work into it, and now you've just upped the bar again, saying we'll see if it's going to air. Well, former Minnesota governor, former MSNBC host, former top wrestler, Hollywood movie star, author, best-selling author, multiple times over, and surfer, Jesse Ventura joins us. The surf is up. He is here. Okay, let's go through this then.
Wait a minute, Alex. How's the surf since that storm has hit Alabama down there?
You know what? I hear that there is a huge surf down at the Gulf right now, and every time I go down there, there's surfers everywhere.
Well, I should be down there right now, doggone it.
Why don't you just jump on an airplane, fly? Listen, you can fly to Corpus Christi in 2 hours from Minnesota, and 3.5, 4 hours from now, you could be on the beach in 12-foot swells.
Well, I'll tell you, that's very tempting, but unfortunately, I got too much publicity to do.
Unfortunately, you're here on air with us, but we're all happy, Governor.
Well, it'd be tomorrow anyway, and so I got publicity all day tomorrow. Today, I couldn't get there in time, so it'd have to be tomorrow. But, oh well, we'll pass on it this time. I'm certain there'll be more storms, especially after learning about HAARP.
Absolutely. I had the director of HAARP on one time, and he admitted, we turn the atmosphere on fire with it at night, and starts laughing. And then somebody on the line cut the line off, and my producer saw this, and during the break, a Air Force officer came on and said, you can't talk about that anymore. So the military was bossing the civilian scientific head of HAARP around.
Well, what's interesting, and of course, for those that don't know what HAARP is way up in Alaska, and that's one of the shows we go up to visit it and photograph it. And it's a group of about 180 radio antennas that all shoot 50,000 watts of energy up into the biosphere. I should say of low frequency sounds up into the biosphere, which does cause a heating. Now, Alex, let me ask you this. Could that possibly contribute to global warming?
Absolutely. In fact, the scientists we've interviewed...
So this could be much more contributor of global warming than us driving our cars around.
Well, as you know, Secretary of Defense Cohen in 97 admitted to the Army Times they did have weather weapons then. And I've interviewed the former father of weather weapons, Ben Livingston. And clearly, I believe this is a false flag attack. We have had a lot of strange weather, and that naturally occurs, but there's been a lot of...
That's the opening show, Alex. The opening show, December 2nd, is on HAARP, and I think people are going to find it a very interesting show. I went all the way up to Alaska and went to this location, and we jumped into a helicopter, and bear this in mind, this thing can knock airplanes out of the air. And it's a very interesting thing going on up there. It's the government. It falls under, let me put it this way, it falls under the military, the Air Force. And yet it is given the distinction of being an unclassified research center, yet I was not allowed in. Now, bear in mind, I used to have a top secret security clearance with the United States government during my 6 years as a member of Underwater Demolition Team 12 and SEAL Team 1. I was also a mayor and a governor, and yet I was not allowed to go into this supposed unclassified research center. If it's unclassified, anybody should be able to go in there.
Well, that's a good point. Jesse, on this specific subject, we can get into more detail because this has been released to the media. I want to play this clip and then ask you about it. This is a 1-minute clip of Governor Jesse Ventura being stopped at the gates. He's about to just, I guess, bull his way on in there. And suddenly the equipment goes dead. And I talked to the crew. This really happened. So they were using some type of electronic warfare jamming system. All right. Now that aired on CNN. The potty language was cut out. But I don't blame the governor under that bizarre stress. So tell us what you can about the HAARP episode, because this is amazing.
Well, we were denied access, as I said, and, even though the security clearances I've had in my life and holding the position of governor, I guess, Alex, the only way I guess I can get in there is to run and get reelected to something again. Then maybe I would be high enough in the government that they would let me in and see what they're doing there. But that aside, and then we did have some problem. Now, it made it seem, I don't know what caused our cameras to go bad. I am not going to specifically sit here and say that they jammed them, that they did something to them. I will simply state that our audio and our visual did have some problems while we were outside the gate. Who or what was responsible, we never were sure or positively found out.
But to be specific, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I was just talking to some of the crew while we were shooting separately back in Los Angeles, they said that multiple cameras and audio and on the digital recordings, it was even distorting. I mean, this wasn't just one rig to have separate malfunctions, the same malfunctions. You're talking about 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion? I mean, this is bizarre.
I don't know. But all I can say is that we did run into complications, and what caused them or why, we were never able to ascertain. But, and then later on, all the equipment later worked fine, and we never had any more problem with it the rest of the shoot.
Well, I want to say clearly on the record that from the scientists we've interviewed, HAARP is designed to be a weapon. It can heat the atmosphere. It can direct those huge rivers of vapor, of condensation, of water as weapons. And the Chinese brag, the Russians brag, you can hire their government-funded companies to control the weather for you. Let's
remember something, too, Alex. There were treaties signed back in the 1970s that governments would not use weather or nature for war. And we were one of the people that signed these treaties. And I think that's an important issue right here. If we sign treaties that we won't use nature to commit war, and then we might very well be violating the very treaties we've signed.
Well, that's a great point, and you made the point to me privately that, well, Alex, why are we signing treaties for weather weapons if they don't exist?
That's true also. So, and I think people are also going to enjoy, there's another part of HAARP that we haven't mentioned today that will be the most terrifying of anything we've talked about, and I'm going to leave that up in the air, because HAARP is going to be, to my knowledge, the first episode December 2nd. Again, I'll shamelessly promote it, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central on the True Channel. HAARP will be the first episode, to my knowledge. If they change it, then I don't know about it. And there's something in HAARP beyond what we've even talked about, Alex, that is more terrifying than what we have talked about.
And I know what it is, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. This is coming up. Finishing up before we get into the other episodes, during the break we were talking, you're saying you made the bet with your crew, and I remember you telling me privately in the car, you said, we'll see if it's going to air. I don't think it will, but we'll see. I'm going to try.
Well, I did a gentleman's bet with my crew and cast, basically. I said, I bet you, no money involved, just a gentleman's bet, that we will complete all of these. We will do all 7 episodes, and we'll finish them all. But I said, I still don't believe they will see the light of day, that they will be aired. And so far, I'm losing the gentleman's bet, but there's still about 3 weeks to go, and I hope that I do lose it. I do not want, and I'm a competitive person. I do not like to lose anything, but I'm hoping that I lose this bet. I don't want to win this bet.
Well, I hope that you do lose the bet as well, because I've been involved in a few TV productions. One of them.
This way, Alex, if it doesn't see the light of day, this show that we've completed, then I need to come back on your show, and we need to ask why. We need to, at that point, start addressing, I believe, the First Amendment.
I agree with you. Well, I don't see how they're going to air something that's more than fair from our perspective. And from what I've seen, and I know you're an honorable person, this is a extremely fair, leaning towards our perspective, because as you said, you couldn't get the other side to come out and debate. There's nothing but stonewalling.
It isn't even a debate, Alex. We couldn't even get them to come out and make a comment. The government wouldn't talk to us, plain and simple. They wouldn't talk on HAARP. They wouldn't talk on 9/11. They wouldn't talk on anything that involved the government and their involvement in any type of conspiracy or whatever the conspiracy is. You cannot get anyone from government to participate or talk in any manner.